Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video, I want to demonstrate to you guys how you can make your own indicator to kind of help you keep track of a trade that you're in. For an example, the wheel strategy. It's a trade strategy that I use frequently. And one of the things that I'm constantly trying to get better at is maintaining information, right? Like if I am trading the wheel strategy, do I have the stock yet, or am I just selling puts at this point? And then say, how many puts have I sold so far? How much premium have I actually collected? What is my average share price? All of that good kind of stuff. So right now we're looking at NRZ. Let me bring over my Fidelity account for a moment. So we're looking at NRZ, and what we want to focus on is some of this information from my broker. Okay. Here's NRZ. My average share price is $10.44. That was my cost basis per share. And I want to keep track of that, right? I want to keep track of what that is because I want to know when I eventually get to free stock. And since I'm already holding stock, instead of selling puts, I'm selling calls. And I wasn't really particularly interested in losing my stock yet, but I'm holding stock, so I want to sell options on it. And so I sold a $12 strike call for 34 cents. Now, I mean, it's down right now, but if I was to lose the stock at $12 when I paid $10.44 for it, then I'm not going to actually consider that a loss. I'll consider that a win. I will have made 34 cents on the option that I sold, and I would have made a profit between how much I paid per share, which is $10.44, versus how much I lost it for, which would have been $12. If NRZ actually gets to $12 by January 20th of 2023. All right, so I want this information, and I want to be able to keep track of what I'm doing. And this is where journals come in and trader programs and all of that kind of stuff. But paying for a trader program can, just be another additional cost, or keeping track of a journal is fine, but then you got to keep going in and updating your journal, remembering where the journal is. There's just all those things. But what if I could just look at the stock chart and I could see my information, and I don't have to worry about accidentally deleting all of the drawings, right? I used to do the drawings where I would sit there and annotate this information using the drawing tools. But then eventually, sooner or later, I would accidentally delete the drawing, and then I wouldn't have that anymore either. So what I wanted to show you guys today is just simple little tactics that you can do for creating a little bit of a journal. So we're going to deal with NRZ. So I'm going to name this indicator NRZ. And for the underlying stock, that'll be the closing price. We don't need to plot that, however. We just need the definition of that, right? Now, we also need user input, because I don't want to have to go into the code every time. So we're going to put input. And this input will be average share price. Let's say cost. That way later on, if we need to, we can change the difference between our average share price and our average share cost. So average share cost for me was $10.44. Now what this does right now, we need to plot something. So we'll add a label. And that way we don't get that error saying that we don't have anything plotted. Now at this point, we have NRZ and it says 1044. I'm going to open up the user box. This is what it would look like later on. And it shows where I have an average share cost. That way I can modify that share cost later on. Okay, so let's go back into the code. And add a place for shares. And now we've got a label for average share cost and total shares. But if I hit apply, you can just see numbers up there, 1044 and 100. Well, let's put a little more information in there. So now it actually says the words average share cost and now we got a $sign too. So average share cost 1044. And total shares 100. Let's make that smaller. One lot. So what else do we need to know? Or what else do we need on the screen? How about we plot a line for where we bought the stock? And now let's put a line in for what our break even would be. But for break even, we need our option. For our option, we need to define if this is a call option or a put option, because that comes down later on. We're going to use 0 for puts and 1 for calls. So I just wrote a hint there. Let's go in and look at the user box. Oh, no hint. Let's go figure out why. Nope, still not. Let's see if let's look at a custom somewhere. There's a custom. So hint. Let's try that. Aha. Okay, so what I just did there is I added this little bubble right there. That little bubble gives people a chance to be able to ask, hey, what does the 0 mean? Puts equals 0, calls equal 1, right? That way, if we forget later on, it's written in there, right? Now I'm going to pause the screen for a moment and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so we have the user dialog box, which is this. And in there, we can put what our average share cost was, how many lots we are trading for the option side, what the option type is, if that happens to be a call or a put, and it is plotting on the chart our entry price or our average share cost. We also want our break even. So with this, we want to put that on there somewhere. Let's use define break even as, well, we need the option value. So we have to go back up to input. My option value was 34 cents. And now our break even will be, oh, we also need option strike, and I sold the 12 strike call. So the break even would be the option strike plus the option value and now that we have that, we have a break even, right? Because if we sell a call, we are obligated to sell the stock at the strike that we sold at expiration if the underlying stock price goes higher than the call that we sold. But is that our break even? No, because we actually collected credit. So our real break even is the option strike plus the options value. So we need, if we're going to actually lose money, not lose our stock. We would lose our stock if our option was in the money. But for us to lose money, then we need to see the strike price greater than our break even. Let's see this for a moment. Let's do this. We'll go in and we'll look at the January 2023 options, and we got the 12 strike here, and we'll hit sell and we'll hit confirm and send. Now notice I sold the 12 strike for 45 cents and it's showing the break even at 12.45, right? So that's what we want to do as well. I knew I had that right, but it's just better to see it, walk it through. So our break even is the option strike plus the option value if we're talking about calls. So we got to tell this break even that we're actually trading a call. Otherwise, it's going to give us the wrong break even. So if the option type is 1, meaning a call, then it'll do option strike plus option value. Let's set that to minus and set this to 0. Now what we just told it there is if the option type is 0, then use option strike minus option value, and that would be the put side. Otherwise, use option strike plus the option value, and that would be the call side. That way, when we go to plot, we should be able to plot BKE, break even. And it did put a line on there, but it's very hard to see. So let's change the line type. To get the color for line type, we're just going to go open a random indicator and take that code, bring it back over and put it in here. Now we've got that red line, and that is break even. And of course, we can actually give the other indicator a color as well. There we go. So green is our entry, red is our break even value. We need to set the type to 1 because we do have the call and not the put. That makes our break even 1234. Now, what I like is to have a label, because sometimes I don't want those lines, but I still want to be able to see everything. So we're going to go back to labels up here, and we're going to put the label right underneath the break even. Well, I want them in order, so I guess we'll move it. So we got our average share cost, and then our break even, and then our lots. And we're going to add a spacer. And that way we can divide these labels just a little bit. All right. So we've got average share cost and break even, and then how many lots we are trading. Now, the default colors are, our average cost shouldn't necessarily be red, right? Because red implies something is wrong. So I'm gonna go with white for our average share cost, showing that it's just a value that we want to keep track of. Our break even should inform us if we are in danger. So if the underlying stock value is greater than our break even, then we want it to let us know. You know what? I don't really like that. So let's do it another way. Let's do where the label turns on or off. So if the underlying stock is less than the break even, we'll see the break even in green and it'll be written up there. But that wouldn't be the truth for puts. So we also need to do that. So if the option type is calls and the underlying stock is less than the break even, then we'll see that line. Or then we'll see that color. And we'll do it again, but we'll use puts. And in this case, if the underlying stock price is greater than the break even, then we want it to be green, right? Because if we sell a put and then price goes below our put, that would be something we'd want to see in the label as a warning. We'd want that label to turn red. I think we're getting it mixed, aren't we? We still needed two, one for the call and one for the put. If the underlying stock is less than the break even, then color green or else color red. And on the other one, if the underlying stock like that. All right, so this way, if it's a call and the underlying stock is less than the break even, then the label will be green. And if price goes above our break even, that label will turn red. On the put side, as long as the stock price is above the break even, the indicator will be green. And if the stock price falls below our break even on the put side, the indicator will turn red. There we go. It seemed like a lot of work just to get to that. And you know, if we didn't care, we could have just left one break even and it would just be that one color all the time. Or maybe we could have, you know, there's quite a number of ways to do it, but we could have just saved a whole lot of time and not did that. But this is where particulars come in, right? And I like knowing that my labels are changing color due to a particular reason, right? So the lot is another one that really doesn't need to have a color because it's just information, right? How many lots we have should not be a warning color. And I see red as a warning color. So we're going to add a color to that, just make that one white. So if I look at the label right now, I see information of my average share cost, information in white. I see my break even at 1234, and we are underneath that break even, which is a good thing. And so it's green. And then we have information, how many lots, and we have that in white. So now what we want to really keep track of is what's my actual share value. I paid $10.44 a share, but I've already earned money, right? I sold an option for 34 cents. So technically speaking, I no longer have 100 shares at $10.44 a share. I have 100 shares and I've already decreased my my risk. So we need that number, and we need a name for that number. Current value, maybe. Our average share cost is $10.44. So our current value would be our average share cost minus the option value. Let's change the names here. Let's use current value down here and use real value up there, because in our user dialog box, we'll only see the plotted names. And we'll make it where we can change the color on that one too. All right, so now let's look at the user dialog box. How many lots, what strike we sold, what option type it is, reminded with a reminder, and our option value, how much premium we got when we sold that. Now there needs to be a spot for previous premium, because what if this wasn't the first time we had sold this? And this may be where you might want to keep track of things, right? Because we're going to need to know this number. So in this case, we need to know if there were previous sales. Have we sold other options before this? If we had answered yes, then we would want to put in what that previous number was. And what I would recommend if you are going to use an indicator like this is when we talk about having a journal and where's the journal and how much information is in that journal, and then where are we going to store it and keep it. If you use this indicator as a place to put your journal notes, you can use the hashtag, and then you can type in what your previous trades were, what if you had sold options before this day. I'm going to put an example in, even though I don't have any previous sales, right? So let's do it a little differently. The previous premium, there we go, something like that. And that way, what you're able to do is keep track of, say, how many times you've done this before and what the total value was. And again, I'm just going to put in a couple of examples. So what this is showing, and what it would remind us, is what our value is. That way, when we're talking about our real value or our current value for that stock, suppose I had already sold premium on this a few different times. And right now I have a combined earned premium of $1.15. And then I'm also this time selling it for 34. I could then have a real value showing or reflecting my actual stock price after all that premium has been taken out of it. So in the previous premium, I could use, just because of the example sitting there, the 115. See, and we got an issue with real value. This real value would only work because we're looking at the we're looking at it from the call side. But let's go ahead and just stick with the plan. We're also going to subtract previous premium. Let's write that a little differently. Let's add those two premiums together. And then subtract that from the average share cost. All right, now notice when I did that, it dropped our average or our real value down to $8.95. So what we have so far, let's open up the user dialog box. We give it our average share cost, what we paid for when we bought the stock, how many lots we traded, at what price we traded those lots, if it was a call or a put, what the option premium was this time when we sold it, was there previous trades or not, and then how much premium was in those previous trades. Now, where it says premium previous sales, that needs to change something if we hit yes or no, right? So let's go back in there. Or maybe that would just be for us, right? To remind us, hey, if we want to look at previous premium and actually put that number in, it would be in the indicator. So we'll use a little bit of a hint option. Now, if we open up the user dialog box, you'll notice that white bubble there. And when we click on that, it reminds us previous trades are in the study notes, right? Now, I don't have any previous premium, so I'm going to set that back to 0. And we see the indicator move the line back up. So the way my trade is right now, as long as the stock price stays above 10.01 or $10.10, then I'm in a good trade. So why do all of this work? Well, one thing, if I want to sell a call, say I close the call out that I'm in, and now I'm thinking, yeah, I'm gonna go in there and sell me another call. Let's look at the price of those calls right now. They're not really amazing stuff, right? This isn't a crazy volatile stock, and these prices are kind of minimalist, to say the least. If I want to sell the $12 strike call and make 45 cents, I can, or maybe 50 cents if I was to do that, right? But I'm not going to make a lot of money there. Couldn't I sell something else, maybe something a little deeper in the money? What if I sold the $11? Well, I could get more money. I could get 85 cents. But then I would be risking losing my stock for $11 a share. And I would have to be concerned, like, well, I bought it for $10.44. If I lose it at $11, sure, I made a profit, but I didn't make a lot. But if I can look at the stock chart and see my line there and realize, oh, you know what? I bought that stock with an average share price of $10.10. And if I lose it at $11 a share, then I really lost my stock with a 90-cent per share profit. And if we have more than one sale, we could aggregate or tally up what that is. We could end up selling options in the money, say at $7 or $6. If we got, imagine our break even is $3 and we're going in here and we're selling a $6 option. It may be a guaranteed loss of stock, right? That we're going to end up losing our stock, but we got our credit for it, and we sold that stock at a greater stock price than what we bought it for, right? So it's just being able to know where our break evens are. Plus, let's look at the things that are closest to expiration. This thing doesn't have weeklies, but it does have options right now, 20 days to expiration. And look at the options that I can sell here. Now, with this current run up in the stock price, I wouldn't want to sell the $10 strike, but we're coming up into that resistance zone and we're getting pretty close to the spot where we could be anticipating a reversal and having it come back down again, right? Here's a 1-year chart, and you can see that around 1180 is about the high. So if we get to $12, I would really like to sell a call at that point. And I can now have a better understanding of what my fair value is. Now, we don't need indicators like this, right? And that's why you won't find a lot of these kind of things in the Discord. But what I wanted to do in this video today is show you how you can put something together, something personal just for yourself that gives you the kind of information that you need. You can rewind this and watch it and pause it and replay it in slow motion, and you'll be able to duplicate or replicate what I did here today. And I really encourage you to do that. Feel comfortable making your own indicators. This can be turned into a watch list label that could go into your watch list column showing the stocks that you own. And then at a glance, you can look at that watch list column and see stocks that are above your break even or below your break even. There's so many things you can do, right? And maybe we'll make a series of videos on that, but just starting out with this video, we made this indicator, which I called NRZ because it's the NRZ stock. And we made it showing our option value, the strike, the average cost of the trade that I'm in, and then, any examples of the premiums and the lines drawn and all of that. All right. That's what I got for you guys. Appreciate your time, and I'll see you at the next video.